Sega, the brilliant game developer and publisher, creator of phenomenons such as the iconic Sonic the Hedgehog, the critically acclaimed Panzer Dragoon series, and many more, was not in a state that it had used to be in. Gone were the days of being a frontrunner in the console market, a shell of its former self, having to play second fiddle to its old rivals. But, as creators, they begrudgingly walked forward to their new future, unknowing of what the outcome would be. The same could be said of the Japanese game developer Red Company. Its ever-popular Sakura Wars franchise was inexorably tied down to Sega's final console. The series had ended on a high note. In 10 months, the developer and its partner Overworks were able to churn out a satisfying conclusion to the story. It would make sense if they were to abandon it and move on to greener pastures, but Red Company had bigger plans in store. It was time for them to conquer the world. With the Dreamcast long gone and done for, the company decided it was time for a change of pace. In 2003, Uji Hiroi, the creator of Sakura Wars and Red Company, announced the Sakura Wars World Project, a plan that seemed crazy enough to work. Starting from the ground up with their former competitor's PlayStation 2, the plan was to recreate all 4 original Sakura Wars titles with the new and better hardware, along with several side titles to add to the series' mythos. If these brand new reiterations did well enough, Sega would shell out the money to finally bring the series proper to Western shores. Much was riding on the success of these new games. Fans wouldn't have to wait long, as not a year later the remake of the one that started it all came out. Unlike in the past where the original was ported over in a similar condition to its Sega Saturn state, this time everything was built from the ground up with the latest innovations. Sakura Wars, in hot blood, did away with the cramped box that contained the famous art, and in its place was the full frame art that had been introduced in previous entries. The game looked beautiful, but how did it play? The ARMS system, which was introduced in Sakura Wars 3, makes a triumphant return, in its original state with a new paint job as the definitive way to play Sakura Wars. While the combat never changed, the story and gameplay surrounding it changed somewhat. The plot was the same as ever, with the same beloved characters and dialogue the fans had come to expect. A new chapter and a new romance option were added in to make it the original more diverse and long form than ever before. And last but not least was the lips system. Taking advantage of what had been introduced before it, such as the classic multiple options and point and click sections, it seemed like not much had changed, but it had. A new innovation for its time, QuickTime events, became an integral part of the remake. The new quirks and nostalgia the title contained made it the defining entry in the series as a whole, one that would judge those that came after it, and those would come soon enough. The first to come after was a side edition that would contribute to the Paris storyline. Sakura Wars Monogatari, or Mysterious Paris, was the beginning of a very different set of spin-offs, ones that would expand on the story instead of the franchise proper. Taking place right after Sakura Wars 4, the game follows the detective of the very French name Kojiro Akechi and his sister Mika Akechi, as they work with the old Paris Hanagumi to unravel the mysterious disappearances of several Château Noir performers. Foregoing tactical combat entirely, the title would solely focus on lips-based scenarios and a few new tricks. As you go along your journey and face several lips choices, you may fail them. Fail them enough and you will earn a game over, making your choices more important than ever before. Combat is still very much a part of this, with first-person dungeon crawling and rudimentary shooting sequences to spice things up. Compared to past entries, it's surprisingly well put together given its peripheral status. Initially, a Tokyo counterpart was meant to be in development alongside this entry, but the game has never since materialized. Alongside this, a port, not a remake, of Sakura Wars 3 made it to the PlayStation 2, with all its bells and whistles still intact. The animation department stayed intact too. Although never reaching the heights that the film and TV series had set ever again, 3 one-off OVAs were released in this time period. First off was Sumiri, a single episode meant to commemorate the retirement of Sumiri's voice actress, Mishi Tomozawa, in late 2002. Taking place right after Sakura Wars 4, Sumiri discovers she's losing her spiritual powers and must put on one final performance before her retirement from the Hanagumi. After that came 2 Sakura Wars 3 tie-in OVAs, École des Péris and Les Nouveaux Péris, releasing in 2003 and 2005 respectively. Each tells side stories about the relationship between the various Hanagumi members, from how Glycine and Erica met, how Lobelia was captured and put in prison, and who truly is the captain of the group Fleur de Paris. While having a different feel in the animation and writing departments, the 3 counterparts still stood up well against the previous iterations. Another interesting jump into a different medium came with the Sakura Wars manga. Coinciding with the release of Sakura Wars in Hot Blood, and written by series creator Uji Hiroi himself, the plot would mostly take pointers from the main storyline of the original game, but with a multitude of elements from other Sakura Wars properties added in. Kayama from Sakura Wars 2, characters from the stage show, mechanical designs from In Hot Blood, and so on, was also used to craft a story that appealed to fans of the original and new readers alike. But all was not well on the home front. Sales for the new entries significantly dipped from their Sega Saturn and Dreamcast heights, putting Red Company in a perilous situation. If Sakura Wars can't sell in the East, how could it even have a chance in the West? In a last-ditch effort, the company hurried along 2 new games, a spin-off and the next and possibly final game of the franchise, Sakura Wars 5. In anticipation for the newly announced sequel, a tie-in came into existence. Starring the titular yet unknown character of Sakura Wars 5, Gemini Sunrise, the game would try to take the series' roots and firmly plant them into another genre, hack and slash. The story would follow Gemini on her journey from her homeland of Texas to find her destiny in New York, under orders from her master. But, as all female icons of the series are, her ditziness sends her in the opposite direction towards San Francisco, where she gets wrapped up in trying to protect a girl named Juanita from the antagonists from the Sakura Wars movie. All of this takes place on a curiously botched map where Illinois is in Missouri and Tennessee is in Minnesota. The primary gameplay revolved around the classic lips, but also the Dynasty Warriors-esque combat. Controlling Gemini on her trusty horse Rally, the player runs around set arenas and fights robots with her katana. But this was held back by many things. An extremely brief development cycle left it in a poor state. Unnatural controls, mediocre hack-and-slash gameplay, and Gemini yelling ad nauseum left this to be the black sheep of the series. Sakura Wars 5, Samurai Girl of the West, lacked the charm and charisma of the franchise in all the wrong places. But not letting things get them down, the series continued on towards its next entry. And what a great game waited for the masses. But what would it be? A full reboot or a continuation? Turns out, it was the first one. Considering how Sakura Wars 4 completely wrapped up the Ogami and the Imperial Review storyline, and especially with the stepping down of Sumiri's voice actress Mishi Tomozawa, any new game would need to take on a completely different setting and cast, changing everything we know about the series. Before that could happen, a new title had to be chosen. Foregoing numbers for Roman numerals, Sakura Wars 5, Saraba Itoshiki Hitayo, or Farewell My Love, is based off of the 1940 American crime novel, Farewell My Lovely. Having less to deal with the meaning of the title and more to deal with what is said, Farewell My Love turned out to be a deadly premonition of the future. But the show must go on, and thus, in keeping with this world project theme, Sakura Wars 5 brings in a new main character, someone who is significantly different than our original protagonist. Shinjiro Taiga, Ogami's happy-go-lucky nephew, is sent off to New York to command their brand new combat review. But, unlike Ogami, Shinjiro has to earn his keep at the New York Combat Review. Compared to the original's warm and whimsical opening, this time everyone except a few are cold and harsh to you from the start. This storytelling echoes the old American dream, picking yourself up from the bootstraps and getting back to work. This mixture of Sakura Wars 1 and 3's storytelling makes for an interesting concoction, one that is familiar but can stand on its own. The plot also takes its own dips and twists involving a certain historical figure, Oda Nobunaga. Even though they can be cold at times, he still has plenty of allies on his side. The klutzy samurai Gemini, the law-abiding Sagita, the gun-toting Rikarita, the paralyzing Diana, and the mysterious Subaru round them out. And while 13 other heroes have already represented the franchise for nearly a decade, these 6 new ones prove to be as original and imaginative as the rest. Combat and lips are also as imaginative as ever. Essentially a new game based on Sakura Wars in Hot Blood's technology, Sakura Wars 5 was still innovative in its own right. The iconic Kobu is out in favor of the new and improved Star Unit. These can still behave similar to the Kobu, but have the added functionality of turning into jets, allowing them to take to the sky for boss battles and certain other opportunities. This is a novel, but ultimately not significantly more exciting or deeper than the ground battles the series had been known for. Other additions came with joint attacks, more advanced versions of the series' standard double attacks. There are also several other revamps to the adventure mode. Gone are the 2.5D point-and-click Grand Imperial Theaters in Paris, and in their place is 3D New York that you can walk around and interact with. Events pop right in the middle of the street, and now there are multiple places to go, such as Central Park or Harlem. Lips has been overhauled quite significantly, with streamlined portraits in higher definition. The QuickTime Lips has also been further extended to simulate Shinjiro walking, running, or even a sword battle or two. The Kinematron has also been upgraded to the Cameratron, allowing you to take photos that can move the story forward or bring about a laugh or two. Even series favorite Kayama is along for the ride, with his Ramondo shop being sort of an in-game tribute to Taisho Ramondo. This new story, cast, and innovations seemed like they could propel the series past its tough times. But was that reality? Unfortunately, this was not the case. Even with a larger base of operations on the PlayStation 2, it seemed the Sakura Wars franchise was finished. Selling a measly 150,000 units, nearly 1/5 of what the original earned, it was the true death knell for the series. As the world continued to advance toward a long-form role-playing game and first-person shooter future, Sakura Wars was left in the dust. A series about mechas, demons, and romance just couldn't compete in these modern times. But was this the case? Was the main franchise truly over, or was there hope on the horizon?